Yes, good. It's going to be 2 days of packed with content and interesting discussions. This talk is about Office 365 and the Enterprise Mobility Suite. And it's all about getting the message across for you to understand it and for your customers and partners to understand how to execute on it. For the past year, I've been working as a sales coach for partners, helping them get more done with Office 365 and selling it and following up at customers. And I learned two things. The first thing I learned is that people that haven't worked with Office 365 or being a technician for the past 10 years or just are a user and consuming the products think that when you say, I'm going to talk to you about Office 365, they think it's this Office license in the cloud. It's available for 365 days. Right? It's like this black box of magical stuff that does stuff. And, well, that's true, but it's just a small part of it. The second thing I learned is that to get the message across, what helps is focus on productivity. Because these are a suite of tools that really help you be more productive. That's the goal of Office 365 and the Enterprise Mobility Suite. Don't you agree? A bit, yes, thanks. And the thing is, if you succeed with productivity, using the right tools, you become more happy. But to break it down, you can focus on 3 different categories, which is personal productivity. Personal productivity is all about helping you as a person getting things done, using the tools available for you to work as you want to do, using the tools that are available to you in any situation. It doesn't require the whole organization to do everything, that all the users are there. For you yourself, you can be productive and have an easier day. The second category is business productivity. When we talk about business productivity, we talk about migrating, we talk about change management. We talk about the whole organization need to go from one place to another place. Hopefully in an easy way, but still you need to think about training, you need to think about how you communicate it. So it's an equally a huge job for those implementing it as it is for those receiving the technology. And then you can talk about secure productivity. Secure productivity is all about having the IT department on your team, being within the parameters of IT security, and still be productive, still have access to the tools. And then have those capabilities across devices. So personal productivity, business productivity, and secure productivity across any device. With bring on device or home computer or whatever. That's the essence, I think, of Office 365 and the Enterprise Mobility Suite. And by categorizing the products and the abilities, it is also easier to change the scope of the projects. Some products here are easy to just implement, to get started with. Others you need to plan, you need to roll it out, you need to think ahead. So these are different ways of implementing it. And the most important part here is to help you and the customer get started as soon as possible. So this is what the talk is about. And I'm going to show you some examples, some demos on what I think about personal productivity and business productivity and secure productivity. Sounds good? Yes. But I think this is the right tools. And the right tools make users happy. When you feel you have accomplished something, or you feel you are doing your job in an effective way, you get happy, right? You feel it in here. Don't you agree? Yes? And then you start smiling. And then you get even more happier. And this is this good spiral of goodness. You get good tools, get more happy, get more things done. And actually, happy users are more productive. It's true. It was a study on it even, from the University of Warwick, by Professor Andrew Oswald. They found out that happy users, they're actually 10 to 12% more productive. And they've actually found out this in the study, and I know because I use tools that make me happy, and I know that it has an effect, especially how you tackle problems, how you relate to other people, if you feel good. And that's what this guy found out. Happy people tends to be more creative and better at solving problems. And that is what information worker everyday work life is all about, right? Being creative and tackling problems, being a problem solver, being problem oriented. Being able to tackle a problem, okay, we have an issue here, but it's all fixable, right? Let's call this guy and connect with that guy and bring the team together for a quick pep talk to find out the root of the problem, or a solution to the problem, or how to get past this obstacle. So this is, yeah, it's proven. So the right tools make users happy, and having the right tools at home, succeeding with meetings, succeeding with working on active documents, you get happy, right? When you can, as I call it, Skype days, when you have the first snow day in Oslo, for instance, it's chaos out there. You should really evaluate, do I really need to travel to the office today and spend 2 hours in a car queue? Or should I just say, hey guys, let's save some time. Let's do a Skype meeting instead. And the meeting is over in half an hour, and you still have 1.5 hours left to do other stuff. And having the licenses for Office and having the tools available, so you don't have to travel somewhere to work on your active documents, on your active projects. They follow you where you are. Work isn't a place anymore, it's more of a state of mind. And having these kind of tools available on the go, where you can join meetings in an easy way, without killing yourself, trying to dial in and type the access number and so on, and then try to join a conference call when you can one-click join a meeting. Or you can brush up on your PowerPoint presentation or review a document on the applications available on the device you are using. Then you feel good, right? You feel like, yes, this is something that's adapted for me to succeed with my workday. And of course, at the office, you have your usual tools, of course, succeeding with meetings and working on active documents. It's the same tools. And the more important part here, to succeed as a team as well. Having the tools, having the ability to share documents, to bring people together. And focus on person-to-person connection, instead of having tech-savvy people trying to use technology and then get some work done. It's the other way around, right? It should just work. So, being able, if you have that Skype day one day and you have some people in the office, it should be easy to bring those users that choose to stay at home instead, to bring them into a meeting, into a meeting room, and have them act as first citizen users and be part of the meeting. and being able to work on the documents and collaborate with each other. This is what Office 365 and the Enterprise Mobility Suite is all about, helping users stay in their flow state as long as possible, or reach it as many times as possible, when they don't have to think about, okay, and plan ahead that, okay, tomorrow I may be working from home, so I should copy this document and make sure I have it with me so I can access it at home or at the cabin or at the vacation and so on. It should just be there. It should just work. So that's productivity. And by breaking it down, it is also easy to find out what to get started with and what to wait with and what to take when the organization is ready, instead of just grasping the entire suits, because that is projects that may take forever sometimes just to implement and get started with. But there are some low-hanging fruits here, which is personal productivity. And the thing about personal productivity, you don't have to implement anything. You can just get started. Get started with the Office license. This is the world's best Office license. Right? Because you have 5 licenses for PC and Mac. You have 5 licenses for your notepad. And you have 5 licenses for your mobile. Right? So now you actually are equipped to work on these documents, have licenses to use the software, the same software at work, at home, at your home computer, at a computer in the cabin or vacation. So you don't have to worry about how can I open and manage this document. And if you use different applications as well to manage documents, you may get version errors or something may get screwed up. This is personal productivity, having the Office suite available. And then, of course, you can use OneDrive. OneDrive is a crucial part of this in terms of, okay, you have the license, but you also need the documents. You should move your documents or my documents on your computer should be moved to OneDrive for business. It's your personal cloud storage, and it helps you access the documents across devices. It's available on all platforms, and the sync client now actually works. So that's great, right? It's actually become quite awesome. As an example here, working on a PowerPoint. In this example, I worked on a PowerPoint at one computer, and then I just left, and I found out I need to check something or fix something or check it out. And then I opened the PowerPoint on another computer, and it asks me, welcome back. Do you want to continue on slide 10? Yes, please. It's the same document with the latest edits that helps you continue where you left off. Because I don't really remember where I left off. I could start doing other stuff instead of just continuing where I was. So getting me as soon as possible back in the flow state is really important. And then, of course, if you open it on your Windows phone or Android or iPhone, you get the same recent document list. So recent documents follows you across devices because you're using OneDrive for Business and the latest Office license. And for me, actually it meant that I didn't care about where I stored the documents anymore. I related more to the applications I opened them with. So I relate to PowerPoint, I relate to Word, Excel, because it shows me the latest documents. And so I open the program and then open the latest document instead of searching where I store the document. Changes the way I related to storage in general. Of course, you can use other cloud services to do this. Dropbox is also accessible through Office. But the thing is that OneDrive for Business, you can control with the same identity and the same users you have in your Active Directory that's synced up, or Active Directory in Azure, which you can use to much more roles and delegate rights. So you can also share the documents in an easy way. Then, of course, you have OneNote. Anyone here uses OneNote? This is an awesome tool, right? One thing I learned about OneNote, it is really an awesome tool to take notes and stuff. But if you're not systematical about it, it's really just a bunch of digital papers. It can get messy. Which means that, okay, you should maybe have a system to tackle this, but I'm not going to dive into that. But check out what you can do with getting things done and the methodology created by David Allen, for instance. But one example here for OneNote, which is awesome, is you have this meeting, and you are inviting people, you have a topic, you have something to discuss, and then you can take notes in OneNote. And the great thing here is that you get the title of the meeting, you get the attendees, you get the date where it happened, you get the agenda, everything is there. And you can just take notes. This is just one example how to use OneNote in terms of getting meeting notes in a good way. And you can actually share this as well, so you can have shared notes. Then, of course, Sky for Business. Sky for Business is an awesome personal productivity tool. Being able to do meetings from where you are. Personally, when you're joining a meeting, see how happy they are, right? Yay! And which means that happy users are more productive. And if we were tackling a problem in this meeting, it was a good start, right? Doing a video call and just collaborate on this document. But having the ability to easily share and collaborate wherever you are, that's productivity and happiness, and you feel good and everything. For me, I actually try to stay extra days on my vacation and then try to use this technology in order to have some progress in my projects, or sync up with colleagues and customers, but still then hang up and still be on vacation. That's so cool. So the main thing about personal productivity is that it's technology you probably don't have in your organization today. It's technology that only one user can start using without affecting other users, because you get yourself more happy. You can work in the way you want to work. So get started as soon as possible. And the thing is that personal productivity and the tools therein are the best tools to work in the project to implement business productivity. Because you have status meetings, you need to take notes, you need to stay in touch and have control over the project. So when doing business productivity, you should start with personal productivity tools and start using them and get some experience during the project, when you also implement other sides of Office 365. For business productivity, I say Exchange is part of that. Of course, email is important for personal productivity as well, but you can use your existing email system. If it's Exchange on premises, or Exchange from a legacy version, or different vendors or other cloud providers, you can still use Outlook to connect to those providers typically. But business productivity with Exchange is all about moving from one place to another place. In this case, Exchange Online, where you need to migrate data, you need to make sure that everything stays in place so that people can then work with email again. And email is something everyone has today, right? Who's an email account here? Right, stupid question. So you can't change too much about it. You need to take care, you need to plan, you need to migrate, you need to make sure users succeed, and not single users, but the whole organization need to succeed. An example here with Exchange, probably an easy example, but it's a real time saver. Do you know in Outlook you have you can show a room list when booking a meeting, and you maybe be familiar with this challenge to finding a meeting room to have a meeting in the first place. So in order to find an available meeting room within that time spot, you actually get a list of all the meeting rooms that are available in your organization at that time. And this is an easy thing, but it's available when everyone is on the same platform. And you can save time just to updating meeting requests, because you try to book a room, but it wasn't available, so you need to find a different room. And you are starting to send updates to your colleagues that you are including in a meeting, and you're disrupting their flow state. They get all these different mails about updating the location and so on and so forth, instead of just finding the correct room immediately. One other feature, which is typically available in Exchange Online, it shows that Office 365 is all about new features. Whenever Microsoft is testing stuff out, and you don't have to do anything to consume them, just enable them. And one of those features is clutter in Exchange Online. Anyone used clutter? Clutter is about using machine learning in order to move irrelevant email in a different folder based on your behavior. Typical emails are Yammer messages, LinkedIn messages, newsletters, stuff that's not important for you to get things done, or that's core to your primary task, which is being productive at work. So you have this clutter folder, typically Yammer messages, LinkedIn messages, and you can tell it if it is clutter or not clutter. And moving into this and using this really is a really great feeling. And you don't have to think about it. And I actually talked to a guy once, and you can compare this with carbon copy emailed, where you get just copied to emails. And he said that he just moved every email that he was carbon copied on to a different folder that he didn't read. He meant that during the last 5 years, he has saved weeks by not reading that email and thinking about it. And he hadn't died yet. Right? So, yeah, you don't have to read everything in your inbox. But you should have a system to go through it, of course, but at your own time. Because incoming email is not your agenda, it's someone else's agenda. And it affects your productivity. Another part of business productivity is, of course, SharePoint. And SharePoint is something different. It's still part of Office 365. So when you talk to people about Office 365, you talk about Exchange features and OneDrive features and Office features and SharePoint features in the same sentence. The problem with that is that SharePoint is a different product to implement. It's more like a developer work where you can have scope creeps and you can actually never get finished implementing it. But Exchange, Sky for Business, OneDrive, all those are more infrastructure products where you actually can estimate it takes this long to get from the start to the end. And then you have a system that works in a specific way. So with SharePoint, you have personal sites, team sites, external sites, and so on. And they can be configured and tuned, and people get creative. Especially people that haven't used SharePoint much. They get really creative on what to use it for. So that's why you should talk about business productivity. And business productivity is more about, it's actually a bigger project for those receiving the technology than it is for those implementing it. Because those receiving the technology, they need to find out, how are we going to use SharePoint? How are we going to work with documents? And they actually need to analyze their file server and their workflows today and see how they can be different in SharePoint. And that's a huge project. And a lot of customers, when they get that story, they say, oh, we don't have time for this now. Which means that, okay, let's postpone that part of Office 365 until you are ready. Until you're ready to find out how to use the technology. Because maybe they have they are seasonal business and they are really stressed out right now. They just want some new tools, some productivity tools. They are not prepared to doing the changes necessary to implement a whole new file system or stuff like that. But they are ready in the fall or in the spring or in Christmas or whatever. Then you can do it, and then you can do it correct. And the correct way to do SharePoint or to get started is to use metadata tags. When you save your documents, you need to use metadata because it's all about finding information, finding documents. And SharePoint is business productivity because it's not about you finding a document, it's about your colleague finding a document. So they can search on customers, projects, they can search on typical or specific products or talks or files across the sites. So finding out how to interpret the way you tag your documents today and how you can do it in a different way in SharePoint is really important. In this case, I actually drag a file into the library and it gets tagged automatically with the basic tag. So we had some basic tagging, but still I can go in and change those tags. And even when working, in this case PowerPoint, I work creating a new document, creating a new slide deck for NIC. I can save it in SharePoint where I should save it, and it gets tagged, and I can change the tags directly within the application. So this is just a start. This is just about finding documents and finding work. We can succeed with business productivity if someone else can continue what I started on, can reuse my knowledge and the awesome PowerPoint that I created and make it theirs and even maybe more awesome. And then save it back so I can work from there as well. That's the essence of SharePoint. And of course, it's a lot more, but get the basics down. Don't you agree? Yes! Of course, business productivity, you need to have implemented personal productivity because you need the Office suite, you need OneDrive, and you need Skype for Business, of course. And Skype for Business is also really important for business productivity. In terms of succeeding on the go, using the correct tools, having implemented it in the correct way. Here's my favorite feature, by the way. In the Skype for Business mobile app, you can choose to have it always call you on cellular instead of using voice over IP, which means that if you're on the go, you can have it call you back on GSM without you calling in and typing all those codes and everything. And it just works because when roaming around, GSM could be a bit better carrier than 4G or Wi-Fi. Just helps you succeed, and look how happy he is, smiling. Then, of course, my stage, you have the tools correct and give the users the optimized for Skype for Business tools they need. It's really important. And especially the conference room, that's where business productivity happens in a Skype for Business setting, where you actually have the correct tools available within the meeting room that can connect to Skype for Business and Skype for Business meetings. And you also should consider video interoperability, which means that you can have a Skype for Business meeting, but the other guy can be on a Cisco endpoint, or Polycom endpoint, or Vadio endpoint. But it's still the same invite. I don't have to say, oh, if you are joining from that platform, then you need to do this. Oh, you are joining from Skype. Well, then we only have these capabilities. Users don't care about that. It turns out they don't care about figuring out the technology. They just want it to work. And business productivity for communication is really core in order to get the return of investment. To really realize the benefits of the technology. And the next challenge here is the auditorium style meetings, like this one, where you have a microphone, you have an audience that needs to be engaged, as well as you may be streaming it somewhere. You want to have people joining in from other platforms as well. Now you have this new feature in Skype for Business called Broadcast Meeting that's just available, which means that you can have a Skype for Business meeting, but stream it on any device, as streaming video, where you are buffering video. If you are late, you can play it from the start. But from the user's point of view, it is the same meeting platform. And this style of communicating and having meetings, it is still a challenge. Here we have technicians and producers in order for me to share this, and it's recorded, it's not even live streamed. To be able to live stream something in a good way, your presentation, your demo, your whiteboarding, and have both external and internal users be engaged, I think that's the next challenge, and I'm looking forward to tackle that challenge. I believe we can solve it, but I don't have a clear answer for it. Which means that we can use the same technology, Skype for Business online, to succeed with auditorium styles meeting. So we talked about personal productivity and business productivity, and these are the tools available with Office 365, or at least the basic tools available in Office 365. And implementing that will give your users a modern technology. I hear people talk about millennials coming into the workplace, and they need to have digital technology. It may actually be a game changer for them if you don't have these tools available in your organization. They may feel that this is not the organization I want to use or work in. But I don't think it's a millennial problem. I think it's a problem of the time. Because you have people my age or people even older that actually focuses on themselves and having a good flow in their lives. It's equally important for them to have this technology available. To actually be able to plan your day, be home at 4, but then maybe have an extra work hours at 9 through 11 or something. Work when you are ready. And then you say to the IT department that, yep, we have all these tools. I want all my documents on all my devices. I don't want to authenticate anything to access them. And I want to use it on my personal device, and I want to use it on my work device. And of course, I want this new device that you haven't heard of, their IT department, to access this. And they say, not gonna happen. Or they say, well, we'll give you this, but you only can access it from here. or they say that no. Right? So secure productivity is what the Enterprise Mobility Suite is all about, where we have Windows Intune. Windows Intune is all about protecting the data, not at the location where it's at, but where the application is. So you shouldn't be able to go in your office and plug in a cable and get access to something. It should be policy-based access, based on who you are, what kind of device you're authenticating with, and when, and maybe where as well. That's the way to access information and tools at the workplace today. So when you meet the policy, you get access to the application, even though they are on premises or in the cloud. Doesn't matter. It's the data we are protecting. Another example here, accessing from iPad, Outlook, and OneDrive. If the policy isn't secure enough, if it's jailbreaked, if it's not the correct version, you just need to fix that, update it, upgrade it, and whatever. Or maybe you need to have a PIN code or encryption on the device. Then you get access. It's still just the same username and password. It's still the same application you are accessing this with. So it's not an end-user choice. It is IT department that can be sure that it is handled, because they don't get access without it. And then, of course, you have Azure Rights Management Services. And the thing about Azure Rights Management Services, it's not something new. It's been around for the last 10 years. The issue with Azure Rights Management Services is that it's been difficult to implement. Really complex to implement on your on-premises Exchange server, file server, having access externally and internally for external users as well. Well, this is something that's available now. The only thing you need to do is work with policies. In this case, this scenario, we are planning a vacation with my wife, a personal matter. And I tell her that I can take charge of the electronic stuff. And then I send over this document. This is really important data. I want to encrypt it. I don't want it to get lost. And I don't want her to store it somewhere. So I gave the policy for her just to access it and change it, but don't store it. On the iPad, receiving the email, it opens in a native client. Because you use the app that's available, and she can open it, but it says restricted access. You only have access to open it and edit it, but don't store it. So in this case, she sends it back to me in an email. And then she starts remembering the last vacation we were on, where we were in London. In the London Eye, it was good times. So she sends me a picture using rights management services on my Windows phone. I open the email, and I'm able to open it and view it, but not store it or share it or post it on Facebook, because I can do that. But that's not maybe the picture you want to post on Facebook. And it just works. You see I have confidential and view only policy, and you can create your own policies, and it can be applied to business productivity scenarios as well. This is something that is available, and you don't have to be part of the internal organization to access it. You can access it as an external user, send it to Gmail, send it to whatever, and this is typically applicable for lawyers and those dealing with personal information that needs to send documents across. But they need to know who can open it, how many times they can open it, how long will it be available. All those things you can set in Azure Rights Management Services. It's really easy to get started with. And the thing about RMS, is that it actually applies to on-premises services as well. You don't have to move to the cloud to consume cloud services. These are tools that can work even as good as in the cloud and on-premises as well. And the last thing in Enterprise Mobility Suite is Active Directory Premium. Active Directory Premium is awesome. It's easy to set up. It can synchronize your internal AD up there. And in this scenario, we want to enable the marketing department having access to all the social media platforms without giving out the password to Twitter, to Instagram, and so on. And they can authenticate with their user in Active Directory and don't have to have specific users, or they can have single sign-on to these applications. So logging into this portal with my domain user, I get access to an application portal where you have access to Twitter, WordPress, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever. And this is a real scenario, and this is something marketing people are struggling with. Because it wasn't a long time ago, I talked to a customer that couldn't change the Twitter updates because the guy that had the Twitter account had quit the company. That's crazy, right? This is the profile externally for that company, and they don't have control. So here I can pre-populate username and password so the users don't have to know the passwords. It just logs me right in. And an even better thing is that it has password rollover, so it changes the password every 4 weeks, every second week, every once in a month. And same with WordPress. This is actually important to have control over your external profiles. Facebook is a bit different because you need to join with your personal account, but you can store your own credentials in there and still have single sign-on, one place to rule all the social media platforms. Cool? This is just one tool or one scenario to use Azure Active Directory Premium. And there are 2,500 other applications available there. And more are joining every day to use your Active Directory username and password to access external sources with single sign-on. It's awesome. Of course, secure productivity is about doing Office 365 in a secure way, having control where your emails are stored, what devices, or what requirements, or if your requirement is that you only can open Outlook or download email or use ActiveSync on the devices we provide you, then you can do that. And be sure that it's actually possible to do it and still not hinder the users to be productive. And storing and getting access to the Office suite, OneDrive, OneNote, Exchange and SharePoint on any device in a secure way makes it feasible for IT to actually sign up for this. So it's all about productivity. Do you agree? Yes, nodding. Okay. Bra, good. And by categorizing them into personal productivity, business productivity, and secure productivity, it's easy to have a discussion where you know that the people you are discussing this with actually understands the implications of implementing these technologies across devices. That's Office 365 and EMS. But of course, you can do hybrid integrations. You don't have to move to the cloud in order to consume these services. It's really important. Hybrid may be the end game for a long time for many users, but start consuming personal productivity tools. Start consuming OneDrive for Business, the Office license, Skype for Business online. Start consuming Azure Rights Management services and Azure AD Premium. The rest of the services can actually still stay on premises. So start figuring out how to actually take advantage of the services available. So with that, I thank you. Thank you for your time. And you can catch me at the HPE and Advania booth. My name is Ståle Hansen. I'm the CEO of Advania. Thank you.